TNA Wrestling crosses the line again with another action-packed episode of Impact as we are only 1 week away from Final Resolution, TNA's final pay-per-view of 2024, and it is shaping up to be an absolute belter. Before we get into the incredible action this week on Impact, we need to say that some breaking news from TNA, some really exciting breaking news for 2025. TNA are branching out big time in 2025. Three big pay-per-views, PLE, signature live events, whatever you want to call them, are going on the road in March at TNA Sacrifice. Will be from El Paso, Texas. They're also going to do an Impact Wrestling taping in St. Louis, Missouri this coming March. This coming April from the Gallon Center in Los Angeles, they're going to be holding TNA Rebellion on April the 27th. And on the 20th of July, one of TNA's signature pay-per-views, Slammiversary, will be from the UBS Arena in New York City. TNA taking things to big heights in 2025, bigger arenas. There's going to be big production, really exciting times for fans of wrestling and, of course, for fans of TNA wrestling in 2025. And the only way you can watch all the great action from TNA is to get on the TNA Plus app, and us friends and lots of people over the world are going to be saving £9.99 soon from another subscription, another wrestling subscription that is just about to end. So what better way to do it is head on over to TNA Plus app, get yourself subscribed. You can watch the weekly episodes of Impact, you can watch all the premier live events, whatever you want to call them, and you can go to the vault and watch your former favorite TNA stars like Christian Cage, Kurt Angle, Sting, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and a whole lot more, all available on the TNA Plus app. Now, let's get down to business. As we said, this week on Impact, the Hardys will be defending the TNA Tag Team Championships against the System. There's going to be a five-way X Division match to, well, determine Moose's next challenger for the X Division Championship, and Jordan Grace will take on Tasha Steelz. This week's TNA actually kicked off with a recap of Turning Point, which was very, very good, as it always is. And of course, what way could TNA possibly start the show that's going to get the crowd excited? Not quite the Hardys. The X Division, probably the best division in wrestling today. And like we said, there was a five-way match to determine the number one contender to go into Final Resolution next week and take on Moose. And the five competitors in this were just incredible. It was Kushida, it was Johnny Dango Curtis, it was Trent Seven, it was my good buddy Leon Slater, and it was Ace Austin of Bullet Club. This was such a fun way to start Impact. Every man in this was extremely talented. And I think the other side to that is each one of these five competitors could provide a unique style of match for Moose. Like if you took Leon Slater, it would be the high flying quickness that perhaps, would throw Moose off guard. If you looked at Johnny Dango Curtis, you've got the wily veteran in the ring and the part of the system. So he'd have, the Moose would actually have a system buddy in there. Perhaps that would be a bit easier for him. I don't know. If you've got Ace Austin, again, you've got the exciting, high flying match that Ace Austin can bring along with a great ground game. If you looked at Kushida, you've got a totally different cat in there for Moose. This match was brilliant. Trent Seven will give you the British strong style match as well. And just going on what I'm saying, this was such a fun way to begin. Back, Leon Slater was doing what Leon Slater does best. He was flying everywhere. He was so impressive. Each five of these individuals got a good chance to showcase what they're made of in this match. And as I said, they would have all provided a different element of a match for Moose. And I think for me, the surprising winner of this match was Kushida. He actually won the match, and I thought it was just quite surprising. Just say he hit Leon Slater actually with the Back to the Future to score the pin. I was just annoyed that they pinned Leon. I think that again, I know I wax lyrical over Leon Slater on this channel, and rightly or wrongly, I would have preferred perhaps if Kushida was going to go over, maybe to a pin Johnny Dango Curtis or someone along those lines. I don't like Leon getting pinned, although he looked strong. Don't get me wrong, he looked really strong in this match. I just feel that someone who I believe is going to win that championship or a championship in TNA in the next 12 months, like Leon. I think it would have been better if he didn't get the pin. But I was surprised that Kushida was going to be given that sort of green light to earn the next title shot. But I do also think that the match from him and Moose next week will absolutely deliver. I mean, we'll see how it goes next week at Final Resolution. But it's Kushida, it's Moose, it's next week at Final Resolution. But what a way to start the show on TNA. Oh, just great action, high octane, in your face. What we've become accustomed to on TNA is exactly what that match was. Great, great, great match to start Impact this week. We switch focus a little bit just for the moment here to the Knockouts division and Tasha Steelz. And there's a lot of things that there were a lot of questions. I think Tasha Steelz has really 2025 has been a good year. She's not had like a lot of wins this year in 2025, but she's impressed. And you can see the progression in her, like you can Ash, like you can AJ Francis. Tasha Steelz is another one that's really come into her home on 2025. But there was a lot of questions as to whether Tasha Steelz is ready for the juggernaut that is Jordynne Grace. And she said that Jordynne Grace has been a thorn in her side for as long as she can remember. But tonight she's going to remove that thorn forever. And she said that she's sick and tired of dealing with Jordynne Grace. And it all ends tonight because she wants the next shot at the Knockouts Championship. It's interesting with that one. I mean, Jordynne Grace, a former Knockouts champion. Tasha Steelz wants the opportunity against Masha Slamovich, and I think she's got that opportunity from what I remember for next week, which is going to be a great match. But if she can hang with Jordynne Grace, she can hang with Masha Slamovich and pose Masha Slamovich a threat. And to be honest with you, she will pose Masha Slamovich a threat next week, next Friday. That's without question, in my opinion. And we'll see how she gets on later against Jordynne Grace. Now, tag team action. Sami Callihan and PCO. What a team of crazy fuckers that is. But it is. It's just team crazy, really. Team nutcase against the Good Hands. And this was really, really good. I actually liked this match. I thought it was fine. It was like I feel as if it, and what any match that you kind of put after the knockout, the not knockout, sorry, after the X division match, any match that comes after that is a difficult one to follow. And they did their best. It was a fun match, don't get me wrong, but like I said, the X division, high octane, in your face. You've got Callihan and PCO, two big brutes in there. You got the Good Hands who really are good hands. I just, it was in, I always say it was in that sort of graveyard position, really, in this match. And the match actually finished, it saw PCO, actually, which was a really good finish to this match, by the way. PCO hits the PCO salt off of Sami Callihan's shoulders onto one of the Good Hands for the victory. And that was, a really innovative finisher from them. And you can imagine, imagine PCO, just imagine Sami Callihan, and then on top of Sami Callihan, put PCO. Is that a vision to your imagination? Just picture that and him vaulting off Sami Callihan for the victory. It was incredible. However, that's not the end of what happened. And probably the most intriguing part of what happened in this match was actually after the match. Now, after the match, the lights go off. We see some weird music playing on the Tron, and it features the number 23. Now, nothing else happens after that. It was quite a weird video. I'd go to go and check it out on TNA's uh, social media pages. So it's so weird it's even called me off guard. Yeah, go and check it out on TNA socials. There is room there. There's a lot of people saying Baron Corbin because the two and three are the second and third letters of the alphabet. And the music did kind of, go down that route. If you listen to the eerie sort of music that played, and you remember Baron Corbin's sort of first gimmick in the WWE, it does make sense. Baron Corbin obviously a free agent. However, I think I can't remember if he was released or if his contract expired. So if he was released, he can't do anything until the end of January. If his contract expired, he could literally turn up next weekend at Final Resolution. So really intriguing as to where that goes and who it actually is. It was yeah, it's an intriguing one. I'm looking forward to it. And listen, if it's Baron Corbin, just to throw out it, if it is Baron Corbin, he was very, very underrated and underutilized to a degree in the WWE. Hey, look, he's one of the only guys to have pinned Roman Reigns in the last 4 years in singles match, by the way. He made the best out of every gimmick the WWE gave him. He did make it the best out of it. Remember, bum ass Corbin or broke Corbin, whatever you want to call them. He made it. He made it work. And if it is Baron, and I look at AJ Francis, and I think if you give Baron Corbin that spotlight, that time every week on your TV, that guy's going to be something. It could be. We don't even know if it is. We're speculating at this point, but it's a great shout if it's Baron Corbin. And I think, wow, what an opportunity that could be for both TNA and Baron Corbin to really reignite Baron Corbin's the energy in there and actually show the talent he's actually got because he is extremely talented. But we don't know who it is yet anyway. It will all be revealed, but an intriguing way to end that segment for sure. Now, Nick Nemeth, let's switch gears and go to the TNA World Championship. And this is where we find out who Nick Nemeth's opponent's going to be at Final Resolution. And it absolutely shocked me with who it was. And he was just starting to get talking. And he was interrupted by First Class. And more notably, AJ Francis from First Class. He said it's been a good year for Nemeth, but it's been the best year of his career, which, to be honest, it's hard to argue with that. AJ Francis has had a fantastic year in TNA. There is no question about that. And I don't think anybody can deny that he hasn't had probably the best year of his wrestling career. But he did say that he wants to walk into 2025 as TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Now, as he said that, Nick Nemeth says, I'll defend it to you against you anytime. And along comes Santino Marella. So next week at Final Resolution in Atlanta, Nick Nemeth, AJ Francis, TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And to be quite honest, if there's anyone in that locker room that has come up from people mocking him on social media and all that sort of stuff to improve that character, to improve everything he does, I don't think there's anybody that can argue AJ Francis doesn't deserve a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. I really, really do think that they deserve it. He deserves it, sorry. And it's going to be an intriguing one. People are going to write off AJ Francis straight away, which I think is a huge, huge mistake to do that. I don't think that you should be writing AJ Francis off. That's for sure, because he absolutely could walk out of this the world heavyweight champion. That is for sure. Speaking of championships, we now go towards the TNA World Tag Team Championship match. The Hardys against the System. And you know what? This again, I think my only little criticism of this match, and it is a little one, is that the System stuff is becoming very repetitive right now. It's becoming very much the same every week. And I say this, And even when I watch the Judgment Day on Raw or so, or even the Bloodline stuff on Raw or SmackDown, I always say it's the same stuff. You kind of know what's going to happen in it. And this was a match that I enjoyed. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the match. It's great action. These four, great chemistry in there. The Hardys doing what they do best. But unfortunately, with the system and stuff, you always get somebody getting involved. And this was the case with Alicia Edwards. She hit a kendo stick over the Hardy Boys to cause a disqualification. And then after that match, the system beat down the Hardys and put them through a table ringside. And I think for me, I was glad this wasn't the main event of Impact because there's too much repetition of what we're seeing with the system. And I just wouldn't keep on doing the same thing after the same thing. And I do think there's got to be a time when that stops. So it was a little bit frustrating to see this happen. And I thought the match didn't need it. I thought the match was great and it was really gaining the momentum that you get as you go through a match. And then to have the end, which is similar to how the system ends nearly every match, it was just a little bit disappointing for me that they couldn't do something else. And in 2025, I don't know whether I'm a fan of the system staying together in 2025. I don't know if that's being harsh, but if they're going to keep on doing the same stuff and having someone interfere every 5 minutes, I'm not a great fan of that. So we'll see how it goes. The match itself, great. The ending was just so predictable and just such a shame. But it does set up yet another match for Final Resolution. Santino Marella comes out after he returned from a break and he said, look, that was unacceptable, what happened, and the going through the tables and the kendo stick. So next Saturday, they're going to run that match back. Or next Friday, sorry, at Final Resolution, the match gets run back. The Hardys versus the System. Only this time, it is going to be a tables match. That could be. Now, that is very interesting. Yes. Am I expecting system interference in it? Yes. But we do have a stipulation in there. And the table stipulation will be very, very interesting indeed. I look forward to that in there. And I am very much looking forward to the Hardys and the system. I just hope that we didn't get, don't get the same stuff as what we did, before. But we'll see. And it wasn't the last we saw of Alicia Edwards, by the way, which brings me nicely to the next match. Tasha Steelz, Jordan Grace, one-on-one in this. And you know what? This was actually a really good match. And I think part of me, I mean, Tasha Steelz, by the way, picks up a huge, huge win on this match. Alicia Edwards gets involved. Tasha Steelz rolls up Jordan Grace with her feet on the ropes to score the victory. Still a huge, huge win for Tasha Steelz, don't get me wrong. I just can't help but wondering if this is kind of Jordan Grace's exit from TNA, just because lots of losses now, and obviously she had the titles and then the rematches, which you're fully accustomed to. And there's no harm in putting Tasha Steelz over. Don't get me wrong. I just feel that right now, what we're seeing now on TNA is possibly her exit, which is it's going to be a big blow to TNA. Jordan Grace leaving. We're assuming if that is the case, because January, I believe, is when the contract is up. I just feel with the way things are going right now, this is seemingly the end of Jordan Grace in TNA, which is a real shame. The match itself, really good competitive match, don't get me wrong. Alicia Edwards for the second time getting involved in consecutive matches. And I think that's going to set up an Alicia Edwards Jordan Grace match down the line for sure. But the knockouts again were showcased lovely in the semi-main event position. Really strong match. Massive win for Tasha Steelz. Don't get me wrong. Huge, huge win for Tasha Steelz on this. But I think we're coming to the end of Jordan Grace in TNA, at least for the time being. Anyway. And Tasha Steelz, like I said, Tasha Steelz is confirmed a match against Masha Slamovich next week at Final Resolution. Fun times. Fun times. Anyway, It is main event time on TNA. And this was great. This was Frankie Kazarian and the Northern Army, obviously led by Josh Alexander, against Santana, against Eric Young, against Jonathan Gresham, and against Steve Macklin. And I tell you what a fun way to end on this. I really, really loved it. I thought you know, it was just guys that they just worked in the ring. They really did. They really just worked off there. And I felt that like, I just yeah, when you've got the people in there that just have that chemistry, it just felt effortless, this match. I really, really enjoyed it. Um, Frankie Kazarian, though, once again, does, find a way of cheating. And he did. He hit Jonathan Gresham from behind with a Call Your Shot trophy while the rest was distracted, of course. And Josh Alexander got the cover and the pin 1, 2, 3 to pick up the victory. But it was a really fun match. Again, they just work. What TNA do so well is they just seem to put on have matches where people just work so well together. I don't know I don't know what it is or how they do it, but they just do. And it made it so much fun. The match was really fun. Santana for me though is where I think my money's on Santana to eventually become TNA World Champion. I don't know whether that's going to be soon. I think Joe Hendry is very much in the line for that. But I would say that I think that it's not very far away. He really impressed in this match. And actually, we'll get on to some of the matches that have been announced for Final Resolution in a minute, because there is one in particular, the one match that we haven't announced yet for Final Resolution, I'm going to announce in a second. I think Santana is definitely there. Josh Alexander, I don't think will win the TNA Wrestling Championship, much because he is a free agent come February. And again, if you listen to his interview recently, it's looking likely he's going to explore free agency. He did pull out, or he has retired from accepting independent bookings. And again, you're kind of leaning towards WWE if you're doing that. Not necessarily, but it's kind of looking away. So Josh Alexander for me wouldn't be next in line. I don't think Josh would. I mean, he had a great 60-minute Iron Man match with Nemeth anyway. I just don't see Josh Alexander being TNA World Champion if he's going out the door come February. But the match that was actually announced was a fatal four-way match, and this will determine the number one contender who will get the shot at Genesis in January. And we've got Steve Macklin, we've got Josh Alexander, Mike Santana, and the man that we all believe in himself, Joe Hendry. That should be a tremendous, tremendous match. To be honest with you, if my money would be saying on Hendry or Santana, I wouldn't rule out Macklin. I think the only one I would definitely rule out is Josh Alexander, and that's just for the reasons what I've just said. I feel as if the time is kind of done, a bit like Jordan Grace. I think it's time for the, I would say to give the flowers, but to kind of, if he is leaving, um, I would say it's unlikely that he would pick up the victory. But you know what? Still, they could pull a wall over our eyes and they could get the victory next week. Who knows? It's TNA, lots of fun stuff happen. Again, really fun episode of Impact. It is a quick turnaround between the last pay-per-view and this one. So, to kind of get, I feel as if this one right now is kind of like, in a lot of ways, filler in between that one and Genesis. And I think as we end Final Resolution and we start moving forward with the new Impacts going into 2025, we've got the live Impact coming up as well. Don't forget, January, I think that is January the 6th, I want to say. That's a Monday. I'm wrong. Yeah, in January the 6th. Anyway, coming up in January, the live Impact session as well. So I think off the back of that, and as we lead into that, the shows will get stronger. We've got some build now heading up towards Genesis after Final Resolution. I think it's going to be great, great, great fun on TNA, as it always is. But anyway, guys, one more time. If you don't have it already and you're in the UK and everyone like that, and you've just saved yourself $9.99, go on to the TNA Plus app, get yourself signed up, get yourself subscribed. You can watch all the action of Impact Wrestling. You can watch Final Resolution next weekend. You can also watch all the Impact Wrestling episodes and everything from the Vault as well. So don't forget to get on that. We'll be back next week to review the Final Impact before Final Resolution. We will do our Final Resolution picks as well on that channel. Please follow us at HTTB on X, HTTB on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on Instagram. And until then, everybody, this has been the TNA review on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast with me, your host, Adam Cousins. And until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.